Welcome to Conversations on the Coast, San Francisco's premier author interview program. Today we are going to talk about a book called Terrorist. It's a novel, and it's written by a man who is one of the most important American writers. He is John Updike, and I thank you very much for coming by.
Pleasure, Jim, to be here.
I'm going to educate us all, because when I say he's one of the most important, I should also add one of the most prolific. And so his biographical notes tell me something I didn't know before, that he is the author of 22 literary fiction titles, 13 short story collections, 7 books of poetry, 8 books of essays and criticism, 1 memoir, 1 play, 5 children's books, and a partridge in a pear tree. And he's won a Pulitzer Prize, National Book Award, Critics Circle Award, and the Howells Medal. What's the Howells Medal? I never heard of it.
It's given every 5 years by the American Academy of Arts and Letters to a novel that in some way is worthy of the late, great William Dean Howells. I was happy to win it because I once read a lot of Howells and gave a speech on him.
And what novel won that award?
I think The Last of the Rabbit series. I think Rabbit at Rest.
Okay.
Maybe it was Rabbit at Rich. I should know, but one of them.
In looking over the press material, I also came across a line with which I don't agree at all. It said that there are a lot of twists in the plots that are contrived and don't really fit in. And I thought that if I had the critic with me, I would say, would you please sit down and read the book instead of skipping around in it? Because I found it all very seamless. That if you begin to understand the place, you begin to understand the characters, everything flows from that in a horrifyingly logical manner.
I'm happy to hear that was your impression. That's the impression I would like to give. I didn't think it was so contrived. I mean, any thriller is somewhat contrived, I suppose. But the world is full of terrorists, as we've recently discovered yet again. And it felt pretty solid under me as I was making my way through it.
Because it's about terrorism, I guess, it's a dark kind of story. It's a dark business that's going on here. And the darkness, I think, starts with the locale, ironically named New Prospect, where the world's hopes had centered for a time, but that time has passed.
Yes, it's an old northern New Jersey industrial town with some relationship to Paterson, New Jersey. I think I even give it a waterfalls.
That you do. You do. There is a waterfall there, yeah, and a lot of things rusting.
And as you would know, I believe you are from New Jersey, aren't you? It was a very early colonial settlement. They thought they could use the river and make it into a great industrial center, and indeed they did for a long time. Many immigrants, much making of things, dyeing of silk and all that, but those days seem to be gone. And the present day New Prospect is a city of pretty dim prospects.
It's a kind of a melting pot that's not melting in a way.
It's not melting much anymore, no. And a lot of people who have nowhere else to go but would like to be somewhere else anyway.
The other thing that's a bit, I think, I don't know whether the word is surprising, that it could also be described as hedonistic and materialistic.
The world or my novel?
No, the town.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, the world, too, for that matter.
Yes, the hero, who's a devout, 18-year-old devout Muslim, is offended by the clothes that the girls wear and the tattoos and all the rest of it. He thinks it's very hedonistic and sinful and doomed and makes him despair, really, just to be in such an environment.
His name is Ahmad.
Well, I say Ahmad in my head.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ahmad.
I think it's more like Ahmad. It's that sound.
Yeah, but his last name is Malloy, which gives him very interesting lineage.
He is the son of an Egyptian exchange student who met, and had a child with Teresa Malloy. To her parents' displeasure, I should add. But she was a Bohemian, is still a Bohemian, and the Egyptian vanished when the boy was 3 years old, and she has taken over. She's a single mother works as a nurse and maybe didn't give him all the attention he needed. But he's, it's about, in a way, the lack of a father and the search for a father.
Yeah, and this young man is totally angry with his surroundings and committed to something called the straight path.
That's an Islamic term which I discovered as I read and reread the Qur'an, and apparently, yes, the straight path is what you want to stay on.
And at his age, which is 18, I think a great candidate for becoming a fanatic.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what happens to him after a while. He stays with this sheikh and eventually becomes a fanatic. We're going to talk some more about the plot of terrorists, and we're also going to look at an unusual guidance counselor. All of that when we come back.
You're listening to Conversations on the Coast with Jim Foster. Follow us on Twitter at JimFosterCoc or send an email to jimfostercoc@gmail.com.
John Updike is the guest. Terrorist, a novel, is the book. The publisher is Alfred Knopf. And we had something called Booklist, which is a library evaluation medium. Said some very nice things about the book. Swift, sinewy, and stylish, they say. And then they go on, this marvelous novel can be accurately labeled, and I don't like this, a 9/11 novel, but it deserves also the label of masterpiece for its carefully nuanced building up of the psychology of those who traffic in terrorism. Timely and topical, poised and passionate, it is a high mark in Updike's career. Now, out here, we call that a standing ovation.
No, that's terrific. Would that everybody felt that, but that's nice to hear. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Foster, for
there you go. Well,
good words.
I didn't do it. I
no,
just
but you found those books.
I just the messenger. One of the other things that this Booklist review gets into is a high school guidance counselor, they say, who attempts to steer young Ahmad in a direction he feels is more suitable and productive. This guidance counselor, they say, is a compelling and oddly attractive supporting character. Would you agree? I think he is. And his name is strangely pronounced. It's spelled Levy, and he would like it said Levy.
That's right. Is that wrong? I don't know. Levy might be the more ordinary.
But is it because he's trying to hide his Jewishness?
I don't think he's trying to hide it very hard, but he doesn't take his Jewishness very seriously, and it's not the main thing about him as he sees himself, but Jewish he is. And yes, he's attracted to Ahmad, who he meets rather briefly. He's overworked and tired of his job, really. He's been 30 years a guidance counselor, and so he embodies a lot of the lassitude and fatigue of his environment. But he perks up a bit when Ahmad wanders in, and he perks up even more when he meets Ahmad's lovely Irish-American mother.
Ahmad really, in a way, transforms him, because he says of himself, I'm a needless blot, a botch, a prolonged blunder. In the world's dark forest, he had missed the right path.
Yes, he thinks that. It's rather high-flown language for my guidance counselor. But yes, he has night thoughts and wakes up and can't get back to sleep, and everything looks pretty black, as Napoleon, I think, said at 3 a.m.
One of the things that, in talking about him, and you kind of, take some shots at the whole high school situation in this town, and one of the ways that you get across that things are not really splendid in this school is that this poor guidance counselor office is in an equipment locker or closet.
Right.
And no wonder he's not very happy.
No wonder he's discouraged. I was trying to imagine a large inner-city school that's been through many renovations and is fairly neglected, and also it's symbolic, I suppose, of the light regard in which he is held in the workings of the school. It wasn't too clear to me how many other guidance counselors there are, but there must be some others, and Jack isn't the only one. my father was a high school teacher, so I grew up knowing high schools from sort of the equipment closet out. Every September, we used to go over and lay out the tablets and the pencils for his class, and I took that very seriously and proud of my part in it. And so I have a fondness for high schools that maybe is abnormal.
You look back upon yourself as an educator.
Sort of, and educated. I was his student for a number of years and tried to behave.
Getting back to Jack and the plot, what he tries to do is to, in a sense, steer Ahmad in a different direction. Ahmad is talking about becoming an 18-wheel truck driver, and Jack thinks he's got the talent to go to college. And the guy who wants them to take trucking is Sheikh Rashid.
Sheikh Rashid is his tutor in Arabic. He is the leader of the local mosque or Islamic center, it may call itself. And Ahmad's been going to the Sheikh's lessons since the age of 11. And so that's 7 years of lessons, and he's absorbed quite a lot of not just Quranic Arabic, but of political opinions and implications, so that the Sheikh is not an entirely benign influence on him.
No, I would say not benign. One of his opinions, I guess, or beliefs, is that all unbelievers are our enemies. The Prophet said that eventually all unbelievers must be destroyed. Not a pleasant fellow.
Right. Indeed not.
Well, he will become part of the further plot, and we're now at the point in an interview on a book like this where we don't know how much more plot to get into.
Not much, please.
Not much. All right. So there are a lot of nerve-wracking surprises in this book, and it's an ending you'll never forget. But we're going to talk about some of the writing when we come back.
You're listening to Conversations on the Coast with Jim Foster. Follow us on Twitter at JimFosterCoc or send an email to jimfostercoc@gmail.com.
This is Jim Foster, our guest today, the wonderful John Updike, talking about his latest novel, Terrorist, published by Alfred A. Knopf. And one of the reviews pointed out that Updike, approaching his mid-70s, congratulations on that, continues to entice, provoke, and astonish. And then they say, who knows where he'll take us next? Now, I want to skip that question for the time being. We may come back to it. It also says in this evaluation from Kirkus Reviews that Updike paints a densely detailed picture of complacent, overindulgent, morally befuddled urban America. I like that, morally befuddled urban America. But talking about painting makes me think about one of the characters that I kind of like, the very feisty Irish American Catholic Teresa Malloy, nurse's aide and painter, for whom it is said, or she says, life is something to be lived. Let it happen. Is that kind of New Age cliche, or is there more there than...
She's a New Age lady, and maybe it is a cliche, but doesn't mean it's not true. A lot of cliches are cliches because they are more or less true, and she senses that Jack, who becomes her friend, is depressed and needs a little bucking up, which she provides. No, I liked her, too. She is, I'm sure, a very good nurse and a mediocre, perhaps, painter, and maybe a less than mediocre mother. At least she doesn't find too much time for him. And yet, in the course of the novel, I did occasionally show them together as mother and son, and he's not entirely alone in the world. He feels alone because his father is a blank, is a vanished vision. So he's trying to fill this gap. But at the same time, the mother carries him through and has raised him. And does as good a job, I expect, as many inner city single mothers.
Yeah, busy single mothers who have to go out and work every day.
Exactly.
One of the harshest things she says, I think, is in a discussion with Jack, if Ahmad is so involved with God, let God take care of Ahmad.
Yes, that is an abrupt and brusque and even unmaternal remark. I was surprised to see it come out of her mouth, but I let it stand because it seemed to be true to her. She only has so much time to give to being a mother. The kid is 18, and about the age in which a child gets off your hands, and she has the problem, being 40, maybe 40 plus, of trying to land a husband in this not very fruitful environment.
I'll say. And I also want to say, and this, I won't give the plot away. I only want to say there is a scene late in the book between mother and son that is absolutely beautiful, loving, and touching. One of the other characters that sticks in my mind is Charlie. Charlie Chehab, is that how you would?
Chahab, I would say.
Charlie Chahab.
My Arabic accent is not as good as it ought to be, since there's a lot of Arabic in this book, but I must say that
I have no accent at all, as I'm wonderfully proving here.
Charlie is animated, and he brings a little life and a little gusto into Ahmad's otherwise rather staid and lonely existence. So he is the son of the owner of the furniture store, Excellency Furnishings, where Ahmad gets work, and with the imam as a connection, lands the job as a truck driver. That the imam, for reasons known only to himself, has urged Ahmad to take. So it's this working man's skill that Ahmad quickly masters and enjoys it. He enjoys driving around New Jersey with Charlie as his guide. Charlie talks about George Washington and the New Jersey campaigns.
Right, and the history of New Jersey is really wonderful.
He loves New Jersey.
Yeah, and Charlie also has somewhat important things to say, I think, about like this. When someone in this country wants to sell you something, they really buckle down. They get intense. That's Charlie. And I think this is very true. I mean, the amount of money, skill, and art given over to advertising in this country is quite unbelievable.
Yes, it's frightening and even obscene. Charlie is a great admirer of TV commercials and the women in them. They're very real to him, and he talks quite a lot about it. He's trying to get Ahmad interested in sex, in truth. He feels the boy's virginity is not quite right, not quite American, perhaps.
There's nothing wrong with that. By good Charlie, good Charlie. Do you want to touch this question with a 10-foot pole in a few seconds? Who knows where you're going next?
I have a book of criticism and essays that I've already arranged coming out, and I hope a novel beyond that, but I don't know what the novel will be about. I'm kind of noveled out for the moment.
And you're out promoting, and that means you're not writing, because you're here with us.
Enjoying it.
Yeah. He's here with us. He's John Updike. His book is The Terrorist. This has been Conversations on the Coast, and I'm Jim Foster.
Follow us on Twitter at Jim Foster COC, or send an email to jimfostercoc@gmail.com.